Hey guys, welcome back to Shut Up and Talk to Me, episode 5.
Episode 5. We made it.
We made
5
it.
episodes, over a month now.
We made it!
We didn't make it anywhere now. It was just like a phrase I wanted to spit out.
We made it!
We didn't make it anywhere.
Glad everybody else made it. We'll see you later.
Yeah, we've done it for over a month now, so it's
That's pretty solid. Yeah, like I didn't...
that's cool. It
I
doesn't
wasn't
feel like it at all.
Yeah, so I wasn't, like, betting against us, but certainly I never, like, really thought about the fact that, like, 5 weeks from now I'm actually going to have continued to do this.
Well, yeah, we're not like thematic heroes or anything at this point. We're not like podcast masters, but we have fun, and that's all that matters. We're able to create something, and it's fun, and we hope people like it.
Right? And
my name's Chris.
yeah, this is Chris. I'm Dan.
And we're going to talk about stuff, and Dan has this interesting... We're going to just go right into it.
Yeah. It's you broke the dam last week by talking about real life shit.
So this is going to be like a semi-serious topic, I guess we would call it.
Yeah.
So Dan kind of has, this is great because I'm super skeptical of it. He has this kind of way that he lives his life now, and it's a little different. And I'm just, go ahead, just jump right in.
All right, so I'll start. A few years ago, I started just, like, I've spent most of my life just thinking about the things that I do and say, but, like, a few years ago, I really started paying attention to, like, certain things that I was saying and how it was impacting how I thought about people and how I was interacting with people. And
Which
I started...
is way further than anyone else goes into their thoughts, typically.
Yeah, right, well, this happens. I just sit around and I'm like, well,
just preface that,
yeah. Yeah, and I noticed this thing that I did all the time, and one of the things that I've always come up or noticed about myself is when I do something a lot. So when I say a word a lot, or when I just make a decision a lot, like at a certain point I just realize that I'm doing this thing a lot, and it drives me nuts because I'm like, I shouldn't be a one-trick pony.
Right.
And I noticed I was doing this one thing a lot, and I started noticing that everybody does this thing. Young people, old people, men, women, trans, fucking every race, every creed, everybody does this, especially on the internet.
Oh yeah, the internet is a breeding ground for what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's... The main thing that people are doing is they're calling other people stupid, or referring to other people's actions, behaviors, beliefs, whatever, as stupid or idiotic or dumb or...
A synonym for dumb.
Yeah, just anything, any of that collection of words that means stupid.
It was negative, yeah.
Yeah, and it's... I noticed I was doing a lot too, because I was from the internet, and I was just from this reality that we live in where everybody says it. I was saying it all the time, and I started thinking about, like, what does this mean? Like, what am I getting out of this? What am I doing when I say this? And the conclusion I got is that I wasn't doing anything useful when I said that.
Right.
And I was actually hurting myself when I said that. So, like, because I don't really care about other people's opinion, or I care about their opinions. I don't care about other people's feelings most of the time. Like,
yeah, I'm very guilty of that as well.
But it's like that's like a moving target that you're never gonna like hit, right?
Yeah.
If you start worrying about everyone else's feelings, you're never gonna appease everyone.
And this can go into a later topic that we'll have about like oversensitivity and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's like it's just you worry about a handful of people's feelings that you care about. And everybody else, like I can't worry about that shit. So I don't care about people's feelings when I'm talking about this. Like, calling people stupid and hurting their feelings, I don't care about that. Like, Fuck people.
Right.
But, like, it's actually really detrimental to the person that's saying something is stupid or calling something stupid. Like, It's way more detrimental to you than it is to the person you're talking about.
Right.
And that's where this thing is a problem.
This is what you got to explain.
Yeah, and so the reason that I think it's a problem is because... Like, if it was a one-off thing, like, if people just said, like once a year, you were like, that's stupid, like, it wouldn't matter. But people use this for everything. Like, this is their default generic go-to, right?
Oh, this
like,
is so dumb. Oh,
yeah, this is dumb. This is stupid.
Why are they doing it?
Like, we're in the middle of an election year. Anybody that lives in America knows that everyone is describing the other half of the nation as dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that is just, like, basic interaction at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but that's a big problem or I think that's a really big problem because when we start using this single way of, like, it becomes the singular tool that we use to describe other people's, like, views of the world. Okay, so, like, almost every time you use it, like, if you really think about it when you use it, when you say, like, oh, this is stupid, this is dumb, it's usually somebody, like, they're not actually saying something, or what you're sorry, I'm like tripping over my own stuff here. When you refer to someone as being stupid, you're usually pointing out that they're doing something that you either don't understand, or that, like, you, from like a removed perspective, from that third person, like, you can see everything that they can't see, and you're like, well, that was stupid, but like, from their perspective, they didn't know what they were doing was going to end poorly, or was wrong, or was broken.
Okay.
Like, so you're really just pointing out that someone's point of view was different than yours.
Yeah.
Or somebody made a decision that you wouldn't have made, but they're a different person than you with a completely different background than you, so they aren't necessarily, like, they don't have any reason to have made the same decision as you, or it's unlikely that they had the same reasoning. Yeah. So this is where this gets to be a problem, because people are now, we're describing what other people are doing completely inaccurately.
Okay.
Yeah, so
you're gonna have to explain that, because so far I'm skeptical, and I'm kind of like, this is just self-expression, and you're like, you're killing free thought here. Like, you gotta give me something.
I'll get into that. So when you say stupid, what do you mean? Like, if you were like I should have started with this instead of saying the other stuff. But like, when you think of somebody and or like they do something, you're like, God, this is stupid. Like, what do you mean when you say that?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Honestly, like, it boils down to, I think they're doing something generally unintelligent. And it's that's my opinion of it, though.
Well, yeah, no, so this is the thing. That's what everybody means. The vast majority, when they say stupid, idiot, moron, when they say anything in that collection of words, that's exactly what they mean. That's where those words came from. Those are all words like idiot, moron, stupid. Those all came from, like, they were actually, like, medical terms for people with below average intelligence.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And that's where that came from. So the problem is, and you say it all the time, right? We just established that everybody says this all the time. So now, when you see people making these decisions out there in the world, and that are generally a difference of point of view and not of their intelligence, you're attributing it to their intelligence, right? You're saying that this person...
Generally, yes.
Yeah, is... And you're not saying it as this person is less intelligent than the norm. You usually mean it as this person's less intelligent than I am.
In general, because you're saying... Yeah. You're not wrong.
Yeah, so that's why. So you're applying this idea, like this story, this narrative, to their decision. That the reason they made that decision, or the reason they believe that thing, the reason they're doing that thing, is because they're less intelligent than you are, right?
Okay.
Well, no, like,
yeah.
Is that kind of?
Sure.
Is that where we're going? Does that
pretty,
follow?
Yeah.
Okay. So just on like a really, like, cheap way to kind of point out the problem with this is that that's statistically wrong. Like,
well, yeah, I don't think a lot of intelligent people that use those words would disagree with that.
Well, no, but even like the way intelligence works, the way we measure intelligence,
right,
is 85% of the population of the whole world has an IQ of less than 115. Just, yep. I mean, that's just how it works. Yeah. Like, if anybody wants to look up statistics and bell curves and standard Gaussian distributions.
It's generally said that if you're in the triple digits, you're generally more intelligent than the rest of the population.
Yeah, but when if 85% of the population is, and like 70% of the population falls within one standard deviation of the norm of 100, all that shit. Okay. Yeah, like, I don't want to get into like a math class here. Yeah. But it's like if everybody is calling everyone else stupid all the time, you're just wrong. Like, statistically, like, unless you have an IQ of 130, you're just wrong.
Right, but if you look at it from the perspective of it's more of an emotional way that it's kind of an emotion that you're saying it. Like, you're fucking stupid. Like,
no, it's absolutely, like, it's an emotional thing, but that emotional thing has, like, those words that you use have a very real meaning. And even if you were being emotional when you said that thing, you're saying it enough that you're taking that very real meaning and you're using and applying that very real meaning to reality, to everyone else around you.
Okay. I mean, I can see
like,
that.
Like, if you say something, if you believe something enough, like, it becomes like a self-serving prophecy, right? Like,
that's generally true.
Yeah, so if you're out there saying, if you're calling everybody stupid all the time, and everybody's calling everybody else stupid all the time, you start to believe this thing. Whether or not it's emotional, you're just going to grind it in. Like, sooner or later, you're actually going to start believing that everybody else is just less intelligent than you, right? Okay. Like, I don't know, does that seem reasonable? Does it follow?
I follow it. I don't know about reasonable. We'll get into that.
Okay. So if you're always doing this, then it's going to affect your worldview, or it's very likely to affect your worldview if your way of describing everyone else's behavior is the same. Like if you always have this thing, it's this generic. It's become this generic go-to for everybody. That like, oh, like I don't believe in that. Like whatever they're doing, that thing is stupid. Like if you don't agree with it, if you don't understand it, if you don't understand why they did that thing, and if you were in their position, maybe you would understand the thing. But like, you just it becomes this generic go-to for everybody.
It very much so is a go-to. I won't disagree with that.
Yeah. So what we've did, like, it becomes this generic go-to, and it's this thing that we keep doing over and over and over again, to the point that we stop having other tools for explaining why shit is happening. Right? Like, so instead of, and this is where you, like the freedom of expression or thing, whatever, like, I don't want to stifle that at all. Like, fuck, I don't want to stifle, like, I want people to be free and expressive, and that shit is awesome.
Right.
But the problem is like, we're using this tool to describe the beliefs and actions and behaviors of others that is, like, functionally wrong. Like, on a really basic level, it's just wrong all the frickin' time.
I can agree with that, yeah.
And so we end up building this binary, this like binary way of looking at the world that is fundamentally wrong, which is that everything that I don't agree with, that I don't like, is just unintelligent, and everything that I like and agree with and understand is intelligent. Right? So, I mean, and that just becomes the binary. Like, everything has to fall in one of those two categories, because that's the only tool you're using enough to apply to things. Which creates a problem, because when this is your primary or only tool for explaining shit in the world, how do you deal with things that tool doesn't explain?
See, I'm not going to have an instant answer for that without
absolutely,
really thinking about it.
And that's, and the example I like wrote down so I can throw out there is so if you fall into that thing and like everybody around you agrees with you and stuff, and you kind of fall into thinking that everything you do is intelligent and everything that you don't agree with and understand whatever is unintelligent, what happens in your mind when somebody comes along and proves to you that something you're doing or saying or believing is wrong?
I don't know.
So like the only answer, like if the only answers you have for, like, the only explanations you have for things is this is intelligent or unintelligent, and you've built this pedestal for yourself to live on where everything you do is intelligent, and somebody comes along and like empirically, like rationally, reasonably is just like, here's how this thing you're doing is wrong, the only answer you have to explain that is that you're unintelligent.
Is it an answer or a reaction?
Well, but like both. Like, your reaction is you answering the question of, like, how was I wrong? Oh, because I'm unintelligent. But now, because you've built this weird false binary, you live in, like, a paradoxical, like, 1984 doublespeak world where you're intelligent, you know you're intelligent, you've told yourself you're intelligent just over and over and over again, and now somebody's pointing out that you're not intelligent because that's the only way you have to explain anything.
And this would explain why when someone questions your intelligence, you get angry. Generally,
well, it's like people question your intelligence, or they just question your beliefs, they question your actions, your work, like anything. Like it's like people get really defensive about that stuff because
it happens on the internet. I see it daily.
Like like that's like hourly. That's like 96% of the internet's fuel, right? It's just people just being outraged, and it's like, and that's a lot of things. But I think one of those contributing factors is that so many people are living in this weird binary that doesn't have any middle ground. That the second something gets pointed out, that it they can't even comprehend it. It's just like, no, I know I'm intelligent, I know I'm smart, and you're an idiot, so I have to attack you because you, like, otherwise I'm unintelligent. So
it's an interesting way of looking at it. It really is.
Yeah, so, like, and this is where I'm coming from with this. So, you know, if anybody out there disagrees with this or wants to have anything, seriously, comments.
Put something in the comments.
Hit us on Twitter.
I'm going to question them a little bit here. And, like, it sounds like you're almost, I mean, it's a great, I almost want to call it a philosophy.
Like kind of just a philosophy for
how you live your life, and that's. But it also feels like you're kind of like you want to live in your own like self-serving utopia.
Ooh, how so? Explain that.
Okay,
I need explanation on
because
that.
You don't want to look at things like, you know, in this way of like, well, if I do this, I'm unintelligent, or you're unintelligent. Like, it's almost like you're criticizing the fact that the rest of us, what we we use these words as a form of self-expression, as I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, it feels like you're, you know, if you're like, so basically you're saying that this is really hard.
Yeah,
okay.
No, this
So
is like a big thing that I've spent a lot of time.
And we haven't really discussed this much.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so yeah, it feels like, to me, it feels like you're almost creating your own utopia, like of like, I don't believe in stupid or idiots or this. I think everyone is on their own playing field and we're just viewing the world incorrectly.
Yeah, sort of. So not that I'm living in my own utopia, but I'm certainly. It does definitely sound like I've positioned myself.
Now that you've formed this way of thinking, does it make you feel better?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So if I can go into kind of how I've solved this problem for myself.
Yeah.
So the problem is like having like saying stupid and building this binary, like how I've been trying to solve that problem for myself, and I still do this.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's actually, I think last episode I actually called something dumb. So like it's still something I do. It's something I still have to work at like
it's
every
hard.
freaking day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
this is why no one else is going to do this, by the way.
Well, so I'll get into. So the first thing I want to talk about is I'll get into that. I'll get into that point.
Go ahead.
So the first thing I want to talk about is how I'm personally how I've been trying to help myself solve this personally is, instead of like every time it pops into because it always almost instantly pops into my head is I'll think like that's stupid, that's dumb. Like it's still that's the first thing that pops in there. And it's like the second I have that thought, instead of letting that be the only thought that I have or saying it out loud, I'm pretty good now at catching that, and instead of saying that's stupid, that's dumb, and just letting that be the end of it, I've like that now just functions as a flag for like, okay, something happened, I heard something, I saw something, whatever, that I don't understand or agree with.
So you question yourself.
Yeah, so I immediately I question not
your way of thinking,
what they were doing, and not necessarily even my way of thinking, but I just think, like, why did they make that decision? Why is this bothering me? What about that? Like, yeah, so if it's like a belief, it's like, why don't I agree with this?
Right. If
it's an action or words that somebody said, like, why'd they say that? Why'd they make that decision? Like, I try and think beyond, instead of just answering it as, oh, they're unintelligent, I actually try and come up with a, like, in my mind, it's like I try and come up with a fair answer.
It's a reasoning.
Or at the very least, I'm coming up with a hell of a lot more interesting narrative than, well, then they're just dumb. Like,
right, but isn't that what we need sometimes? Is that simplicity of just, this is dumb.
Well,
like,
it's so.
I mean, look at you brought up elections earlier. Like, you just look at that from an outside perspective, and you're like, this is fucking dumb.
Well, see, and that's from an outside perspective with no further thought about it. Then you're just like, well, this is just unintelligent. But then if you start looking into it, you can start seeing like, oh, there's this huge system with all these little like all this minutia that encourages people to act a certain way and talk a certain way, and the system's got all these like problems in it, and it encourages people to behave and abuse the system in a certain way, and then that encourages other people to listen to you in a certain way, and like it's this whole big long cascade of just like
right. But I generally feel like these are non-correctable flaws. Like, yeah, like someone of your intelligence, which you are generally really intelligent in comparison to me.
I'd like to hope. No.
No, that's how I view it. Like all the time. So
well,
I've always,
whatever. You know what? You can keep up.
I've always framed it in this way of like, what, you know, Dan's like, he's like my really intelligent buddy that I love hanging around because he's insightful and shit.
He comes up with shit like "don't say stupid" and has a 20 fucking minute explanation on why.
Yeah, we're at about 20 minutes, but no, it's more like I have to disagree with you on like. It's cool that you want to live your life that way, mm-hmm. and I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Mm-hmm. I think it's actually generally a very positive thing. No one else is going to do it, for one. And
I still have an answer for that. I can get
hold
to that.
on, and then two, these are 2 points that you can
absolutely
go after. Yeah. The second one is like we will talk over like Facebook chat, mm-hmm. and I'll be randomly angry about something. I'll be like, "This is fucking stupid," and then you always have like this quip of like, well, it's not really stupid. It's just your way of thinking. You always give me a reasoning, and I'm like, fuck you, just let me be angry. I'm like, it makes it worse.
It just makes you more angry because I'm not like
you're
I'm not supporting you. I'm basically not supporting you.
It feels like you're questioning my intelligence by not supporting me.
No, yeah. So this is
Instead of just being like, fuck yeah, I agree. You know, like whatever.
Yeah. So I read something like an article that somebody wrote the other day. I can't remember what the fuck it is right now, but they brought up something similar. Not the same stupid thing, but just they had like, there's this huge problem, and I figured out how to like fix it, right? And their answer, or they figured out how to fix it for them, but the only thing they said about fixing this problem was only relevant to them. So because that existed in a vacuum, they're basically saying, this is how I think everybody should solve this problem.
Yep.
And it was the exact same thing that I'm doing, where it's like, I have this personal thing where I have this discipline to like notice that I'm doing this thing and start thinking about it this way. And yeah, in Magical Wonderland, that would be the solution to all problems. Would just be like, well, everybody's disciplined and they can just fix all this shit themselves, right?
Right.
We don't live in that reality, right?
No.
Like I 100% understand that we don't live in that world. So this thing that's working for me is working for me now because it's fucking I'm the only one doing it. But yeah, so as a generic solution. There's two things that I came up with, because I actually thought about it. I was like, okay, what are like actual generic like things that are applicable to everybody? And the first thing is we need new words. So instead of stupid, idiot, moron, whatever, we need to come up with a word or collection of words that actually means that thing that I said earlier. So it's like, I don't understand why that person did that, right? Like we need a word that means that.
Well, and that's tough, because I feel like when we use those words, we're simplifying it on purpose.
Well, no, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we need a word that simplifies to the point of saying, like, I don't understand what that is, I don't agree with that, but doesn't have the negative connotation of intelligence. Like, it doesn't have that added baggage of, like, that's unintelligent. You just need to have that thing that, like... And it could still have an emotional attachment. We could have a word that means, I don't understand what that's doing, but it's making me angry. Like, we could have a word that means that, and we could also have a word that means, I don't understand what they're doing, and I just kind of don't care.
Right.
We just need, like, this is like step one is, I think we just need a collection of words that's actually more accurate to reality and doesn't have the negative connotations. And then it actually, from there, you can have discussion about that shit, because then people will be like, that's how words work, is they express an idea. And if the idea that you're expressing is, I don't understand that, what the fuck is going on? Then the person next to you can go, well, maybe they're doing this. And then it leads to a discussion. Maybe. Or maybe if it's, I don't understand this and I don't care, and the person next to you is like, yeah, then you just both go on with your lives.
Yeah, totally.
But then at least in that world where people use those words, they're not building that false binary anymore. Instead of saying, smart and intelligent and breaking the world into those two classes, now they can just say, well, that's a thing that I don't get. And even if that's...
But you think the general populace is going to want to admit that? Because this very does fall back on their intelligence.
Yeah, so today... Well, no, like... I wouldn't say it falls back on their intelligence, but... So today, like, if I were to just go out tomorrow and be like, here's new words, everybody use these, nobody's going to fucking use them.
No.
The other thing, the second half of my solution to this, which air quotes, because this is just kind of... This is all theorizing... is really not one thing, but just a giant collection of shit, which is we have to start building shit in such a way that it encourages people to think like that.
That's a good way to put it.
Like we have to build systems that reward people for being open-minded. Or
where does this start?
Fuck. Like... I
mean, does it start at... Do you think people in our age groups at this point are going to be able to adopt something like that?
Oh, absolutely.
You think so?
So it's...
So I think you're going to see a lot of resistance against something like that.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, it can't be... So in the same way... So I'm a software developer. Like, that's the thing that I do, is I develop software. And
by the way, he's working on a super sweet game. Like, I got to kind of play, like, a little demo-ish thingy of it.
Yeah.
It's not, like, complete at all.
Yeah.
But it's fucking fantastic. And we'll talk about that later on, I'm sure.
At some point, yeah. But, so what I like software development is the thing that I think about, and like web stuff and just everything. Yeah. Like, and really what like software design and game design just comes down to is systems design. Like, it's just you building a set of rules and a way to interact with shit. Like, that's just all. It's just designing a system. Where it starts would be, because I have like every software developer, I have a shitload of just like ideas just floating in my head. Like, oh, it'd be really cool if this happened. Where it would start would probably be in something like Twitter or Facebook or any social media where we change how people like care about things.
Okay.
So, like it's really fucking hard to explain. So like right now it's just basically like however many people like your tweets or follow you. I mean that's just it. Like you just want to drive up. There's like a couple of numbers and you just want to drive those numbers up, right?
Depending on who you are. Like I don't care. Like
but
I will purposefully delete people on my Facebook so it sits at around 150 because otherwise it gets all bogged down with bullshit.
You don't know 700 people and fucking your feed's
really,
gonna be complete just utter chaos.
Exactly.
But for the people that are trying to be popular and that are trying to get... So another thing is like attention economics, and I'll get into that shit at some other time.
Yeah,
we don't need...
Definitely going to be a topic soon.
But those people are encouraged to just drive up a couple of numbers, right?
Right.
How many likes, how many retweets, how many followers. If you're on Facebook, how many fucking friends.
Instagram is huge. Yeah.
All of these things are built around just driving up a couple of numbers that aren't representative of shit.
They don't mean anything.
Yeah, except that a lot of people, for some reason, are listening to you. That's all it fucking means. It doesn't tell you why they're listening.
Isn't that what some people just want? They don't care if it's a positive or a negative thing. They just want to be heard.
Well, no, and that's... Yeah, no, like, there are people just want to be heard, and... it's a really, like, fundamental systems design thing is we need to come up with a metric, like a really simple metric that encourages people to not just say shit to be heard, but to say shit that's well reasoned, or to say something like there has to be like not oversight, but built-in oversight. It has to encourage people to behave a certain way.
Right. So with that said, I have to say that when I asked you where does this start, it has to start with parenting. Going into young school.
Like our education system would be a great place to start it.
Yeah, that'd be your optimal place to start.
Honestly, that would be the optimal / end goal.
Because that's where we learn bullshit that we don't need if we don't care to. Not that we don't need them. That's not what I'm not trying to go at you. It's like that's where we like do a bunch of shit that we either decide that we're going to use later in life or we're not going to. But something with like using vocabulary differently and that kind of stuff, and English classes, stuff like that. That's where you would learn this stuff. Well, and that's those are the classes where we actually pay attention and where like that's the stuff that our mind like keeps going with instead of other bullshit that we learn in school, like cursive that we never fucking use.
Most people don't even like teach that anymore.
Thank God.
Well, it's because
cursive is so useless. But we were forced to in Korea.
Well, yeah, and the reason they don't teach cursive anymore is because we have computers.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. So you're talking about like using different words and shit, like.
Well, very well would be a change in vocabulary.
Well, no, but check it out. So like the word text.
Right.
When you and I were kids, the word text meant like words in a book. Yeah. That's what texting meant.
Yeah.
And then a piece of technology came along, and now texting means a really huge set of concepts. It means using a smartphone to send the fucking written word over airwaves to some other person. Like, it's this huge fucking idea that's just like, it makes words show up on my smartphone, but that's such a huge collection of shit in between there that text represents, like saying the word text, right?
Right.
So if we build like a piece of social media, something like Twitter, something like Facebook, and it encourages people, like just the words that we use to interact with, like this is where, instead of trying to like figure out a word that replaces stupid, we have like this social media thing that encourages people to, and they're like, oh, we need a new word that means this thing. Then we just come up with a word, and now like that's where it can come from. So it could come from social media. It could come from education, which it won't because our education like that means dealing with the government and accomplishing all this shit, and it's such a pain in the ass. Yeah. But like I think it really our best bet would be somewhere in social media would probably be the best origin place.
And let's leave it at that for now.
Okay.
It's a really interesting concept, and I love that it's something that you're actively doing. Mm-hmm. I won't do it.
No, and that's not like I have.
Call me. Sorry, I'm trying to decline this call.
No. I'm busy.
I don't even know why I looked at my phone. I love that you're trying to do that. I think it's cool, and I want to see how in the future it progresses.
Yeah, and so
because I'm certainly not going to do that.
And that's
It's easier. I'll be honest with you. Like, not having to go into a thought pattern about what I'm about to say, like overthinking, overanalyzing. I don't like doing it. I hate to quote Tool. Like, it's such a Tool quote, but it is. That's what I think it is. It's an overanalyzation of life. No,
and you are. I 100% agree. Like, because everybody does this. We all have like a small handful of things that we really care about, and a lot. Ooh, excuse me. And a lot of other people. Like, this is a whole other topic, but like. We have a small handful of things that we really care about.
Right. And
a lot of us, because we experience the world through we can't ever experience it through anybody else's point of view. It's just always from ours. That's why people project, and that's why a lot of people think that, like, so many people expect wants everybody else to care about the things that they care about. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, well, this is what I care about, and I only really know the world from my perspective.
Yeah.
And that's, like, I get that. Like, I have no expectation for the, like, 99.99... You know, I expect, like, 6 other people on Earth to care about this.
Yeah.
But somebody has to. Like, there has to be one person that cares about this thing. And maybe if I can spur somebody else to think about it, or get them to make something, and maybe it, like, cascades. Like, that's how shit gets done. That's how things get changed. It's like one person, a handful of people care about it.
Yeah,
and then
that literally is how shit gets done.
Yeah, right. And it's like so seriously, anybody, if you hear this, hit me on Twitter. If you don't like what I'm saying, if you do like what I'm saying, hit me on Twitter. Hit us on the Facebook page.
The comments
on YouTube, fucking anywhere. Like, get a hold of me. If you think I'm an idiot, fucking get a hold of me anyway. Like,
yeah. It's definitely an interesting topic, to say the very least.
Okay.
And let's move on a little bit, and we're going to go into video game talk. And so, I don't remember at all what year it was, but Warcraft 3 was a thing on PC.
2002?
2002-ish? Okay, so Warcraft 3 was a big thing on PC.
Yeah.
It was before WoW came out.
Oh, yeah, so it was right before World of Warcraft.
Yeah, and so someone created a game called Defense of the Ancients, and they essentially created a completely new game type.
Yeah, so they took... I should read this. Oh, so sorry, like, no. I forgot, I wrote a thing down about this a long time ago that described, like, what they did and how, and, like, but...
So what we're talking about is MOBAs.
Yeah,
and so this entire stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena.
Yes.
Which is just... It's a silly name to me, like... Honestly, compared to what the game actually is, it's really silly.
So it's totally like...
But it makes sense.
The acronym sucks.
Yeah.
Because, like, what it stands for sucks, but just if you stop thinking about it as an acronym and just...
it's a MOBA.
Well, yeah, no, it's just its own new word now. If you just think about it as we just made a new word.
That's a good point,
and it just means this set of games. And, like, okay, it's MOBA.
We talk about MOBAs all the time.
Yeah, because nobody talks about multiplayer online battle arenas.
Yeah, that's just me remembering where it came from.
No, exactly.
Defense of the Ancients, and kind of giving the backstory on it.
Yeah, so like this whole genre came out of like a custom map that somebody made for Warcraft 3 fucking 14 years ago.
Okay. Go on. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just
with the history of it. If you know a little more about the history than I do.
Oh my god! So the like the Wikipedia history of this is that there was actually like a StarCraft 1 map called Aeon of Strife.
Okay.
Which I've never played it. I haven't found a download for it. I've actually looked for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the fuck this thing is. I don't know what it is. But then they carried over ideas from that, and there was a bunch of other maps that used some ideas from that in StarCraft 1. Went into Warcraft 3, where they had like way better control over units and like their abilities and shit. And so they made this mod called Defense of the Ancients, and it got freaking huge in the Warcraft 3 community.
And this is why us as PC gamers, you know, at the base level, that's what we would call ourselves when it comes to being a gamer. Like,
absolutely,
that's our number one. Like, PC games are the best.
That's
like,
where
it's the master race for sure, right? And that's not to say that we're both right now not. We're both playing Xbox 360.
Like, we're playing console games stuff.
Yeah, we love consoles. That's not what this is about, though. This is about this new game type, and it came about because I found a game on mobile called Vainglory that I really like, where I did not like MOBAs before, and you can ask all my old friends, my old PC friends, I can vouch. Never played.
I can vouch.
I was like, nope. How can you vouch? I don't.
Well, no, it's because I actually got into I got in on the beta of League of Legends.
Okay.
So the rest of the history was Warcraft 3 mod. It got really popular, and then people were like, "Hey, we should make this into its own game and just make money off of it instead of it just being this random thing." So then League of Legends was the first one that came out, and it went into open beta in 2009, which I actually got into because I was in free games, I'll play this.
Yeah.
Fucking hated it. The first like 2 hours I played, I was like, I didn't get this at all. I was a super first-person shooter at that time, and I was just like, I fucking hate this. I don't understand anything. And I just uninstalled it, and I was like, fuck this thing.
And then came along Smite.
Yeah, well, no, so then 2 years later, I got back into League.
Okay.
Because then all of a sudden everybody I knew was playing it. I was like, fuck, I guess I gotta play this now.
Yeah, that really was what it was. Like, I had this thing where I constantly would like not have internet in my life and like not worry about it, and then like I'd have this need to have internet again, and I'd be on the internet again like all the time. And I came back one time and everyone was playing League of Legends, and I was like, what the fuck are these fucking little characters? Like these are awkward and weird, and I don't like this, and I just want to shoot people in the face. Like that's what I want to do when I play video games. Set. Yeah, I already have this built skill set. Don't try and make me learn. But anyways, so okay, let's just hop to Vainglory, and we can kind of base a lot of statements about this game off of other titles.
Yeah, so it's like, so I have a bunch of experience with like League and Dota 2. And that was where I was going with that earlier, was that I got into those, and at one point I was like, hey, you should come play League, and you were like, no, I shouldn't.
Oh, yeah, you did ask me.
Yeah, a couple of times. I was like,
more
League
than
and Dota, and you were just, and like, every time you were just like, those are dumb.
I almost did a spit take. That was perfect. Like, we just got over how you don't do this in your life, and you're like, that's fucking dumb. But no, that was how you would have reacted at the time.
Well, no, but that's how you reacted.
Well, no, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said, like...
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah, no, and it was just like, you were not into it, and then... And I actually almost got to a point where I was, like, done with fucking MOBAs. Like, I kind of had my fill of it. Then you fucking found Vainglory.
Yeah.
So now you play this MOBA.
And yeah, and I play a MOBA, and it's funny because it's not the way most people play MOBAs. It's on mobile. And I don't play it on my phone. The phone screens are generally too small. Pretty much everyone that plays this game plays it on tablet.
Yeah, so I'll just vouch for that real quick. I played it for like 5.5 seconds, and I did it on my phone, and it sucks on a phone. Yeah, it's way too small.
You don't have enough room. There's so many little things you need to hit. And MOBAs are, okay, let's just bottom line this. In general, MOBAs are pretty complicated. Like, if you took a basic, just gamer person that plays shooters and third-person shooters and adventure games, and you were like, sit down and play this MOBA, they'd be screwed. They would have to go through a couple hours of tutorial and then a ton of just casually playing the game to learn how to play.
A lot of quantity, just a lot of hours.
And so this is essentially why I didn't play League of Legends or Dota or anything like that, was because the learning curve was very steep, and I had already gone through this experience of 2 different games with Counter-Strike and Opposing Force / Half-Life. Mm-hmm. And Adrenaline Gamer, same thing, I guess. And then where I had already learned these really steep, gaming steep curves, and and
you went into Counter-Strike as well.
Yeah, I said that.
Oh, did you? Oh, sorry, I heard.
Yeah. So Counter-Strike was after Opposing Force and Half-Life.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Which is another super steep learning curve. Only good players are going to get anywhere in that game. Like, bottom line.
Yeah.
Are generally good. I was never that great at it, but I had a crap load of fun, and the basic dynamics of the game is something I hold dearly to my heart. Like, I absolutely adore Counter-Strike, even though it's pretty fucking broken now.
Oh, yeah. That's another show topic.
That's another topic at another time. So, okay, this game is a lot different because... So I remember...
This game, Vainglory. We're back on Vainglory.
Yeah, we're back on Vainglory, and I remember listening to people play League of Legends, like, over our headset, and I would just hear clicking. Click, click, click.
Click, click, click. You fucking...
Just clicking. Did I break it?
Kinda.
I almost broke Dan's computer.
Click something else!
It was the only mouse in the area. So all I would hear is this clicking, and literally what people were doing were clicking. So you have to move your character, and he will only move to the length of where you click.
Yeah.
Okay? So people are just clicking ahead to keep the character moving.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing.
So it's like, one of those generic skills that is kind of true in most games is keep fucking moving. If you're standing still, you're gonna die. Like, you have to,
gonna lose.
Like, if you're standing still, you need to do it on purpose for a reason.
Yeah, like in Counter-Strike, if you're peeking a corner for a very long time, you have a reason behind it.
Yeah.
You have information that you've gathered that you're looking at this one spot.
You're making assumptions, yeah.
Or you're making assumptions, and that's what makes you a crappy player. And that's where you sit in one spot and then you just end up dying typically. So in this you need to keep moving, and you really do. So, man, how can we get into... We need to explain the game a little better.
Okay, so...
So, Vainglory is 3 versus 3, and
Okay.
most MOBAs are 5 versus 5.
Yeah,
right?
so this is... Yeah, so, like, to just go back to, like, you were saying these are really complicated games. They're actually, like, really simple games that have a shitload of interconnected, like, complicated systems.
Yeah.
Because, like, so on the base level, it's just two teams of people trying... Like, they both have, like, a base. They both have, like, buildings that can't be built, can't be repaired. They're just kind of there, and the goal is to just destroy the other team's base. Right? Like, it's... Like, that's, like, a really basic, like, two kids playing with, like, fucking micro machines, right? Like, this is my base! Well, I'm fucking... If you just knock that one over, then you win. So, so, like, on a really fundamental level, that's it. And then, like, on the PC end, on the main consoles and, like, PC, the general setup is 5 versus 5.
An isometric viewpoint.
Yeah, it's got an isometric...
You're above the world, looking down, basically.
Yeah, so it came from RTS games, which are always...
Command and Conquer, StarCraft,
Warcraft. Those games that nobody... So any of our, like, 20-year-old list, nobody knows what those are. But everybody...
Basically, yeah.
Everybody from the 90s knows what an RTS is.
Yeah.
But, like, the raised, like, crows... Like a bird's eye view, almost, of like, the world.
A bird's eye
That's
view of the game feel.
Yeah, of the game feel.
Of the map.
Yeah.
So,
but on the Vainglory, it's 3v3.
It's 3v3. There's only one map.
Yeah.
Is that true amongst all MOBAs?
So it's League. So yeah, for the most part, there's one main map.
Okay.
League has a couple of like other maps that are different game modes and they play differently.
Right, and like Vainglory has this thing where you have your normal game mode, and that's the entire map. And there's this area that's called a jungle, and that's generally where you can take a character off of the main lane, is what you would call it, or lanes in other games.
Yeah.
But Vainglory was what we're talking about, so we're going to stick with that. Yeah. It's one lane. So you have one lane that you're going down, and you're trying to kill other people.
So the opposing team, they're building. So they have a collection of buildings that are set up in a line along the lane.
Yeah.
And you can't kill buildings further down the line. You always have to kill the building at the front of the line.
Because it's not just a building, it's usually like a defense.
Yeah, it's a building that shoots back.
Yeah, it's generally like... So
called towers.
In MOBA, yeah, it's in Vainglory, it's just a turret.
Tower turret.
It's just a big-ass gun.
But you gotta kill it before you kill anything else.
Yeah, because it will target you, and it does a lot of damage, and it's not something you want to F around with. And so there's also minions in the game as well. And minions are they're AI controlled.
Yeah, they're just kind of...
They come out in little bursts of like 5 of these little guys that, you're this big badass special character and you have all these different abilities. And the minions are just there specifically to be cannon fodder.
Yeah, they're cannon fodder. You make money off of them. Like, killing them gives you money,
If
right?
you kill them, it gives you money to build your character, which is a kind of a different topic that we'll get into.
But yeah, and it's see what I said. There's a lot of complex.
This is
systems.
super complex, and it's why we've kind of skipped over it, like the last 3 or 4 episodes. But we want to talk about it because this is a great game. Like, I'm having a ton of fun with it. I love that instead of having to click around everywhere, it's touch control, so I can just tap, 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 and I'm having a great time. It's very
It's all
super intuitive. Yeah, it's super intuitive. Like, and this is Vainglory is up there with, and no one's heard of it, but it's up there with League of Legends and Dota as to where it's an esport. Like, they're playing this for money.
Is
not
it like,
really in America.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I kind of...
This is very much like a Korean-based game, I believe.
Oh, you can't use that. Everything's a fucking esport in Korea.
Right? Except Counter-Strike.
Except Counter-Strike. But...
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to watch, like, their level of skill compared to mine, where I'm like, I'm getting pretty good at this, and then I watch them, and they're tapping like a million taps a second. And
they're like 800 actions per minute and shit.
Yeah, it's like Jesus, like, and this is why I never got into competitive RTSs, like playing StarCraft with someone, because it's just like if you watch. So I'm talking to the audience now. Like, go onto YouTube and look up like StarCraft competitive fast. Just type in those 3 words. And you will see some of the most ridiculous gameplay that you've ever seen in your life.
Oh my god, like...
It doesn't even look like they're playing a game.
No, there's just like split-second images of random shit that you're like, well, I mean, I know those are from this game, but what the fuck is happening? They just bounce around the map and shit? Yeah, it's crazy. No.
So I definitely prefer Vainglory over all the other popular titles. Like I think I'm way too far behind, like, as far as the League of Legends and the Dota crews to really get into being any sort of good at that. And another thing is I feel like Vainglory was much more user friendly.
It's so I did. I played 5. I
Right.
played like 2 matches. I played like an hour worth or something.
Okay.
And absolutely, I will absolutely give you that it is way more user friendly. Just like on a basic level, they pared down a lot of the shit that the other MOBAs kind of delve into. Like how complex the systems are in Vainglory seems not less complex. Not like there's still a shitload of depth, but they got rid of a lot of like cruft. They got like a lot of the fluffy shit that you're just like, nobody uses this. Competitive players don't use this. Nobody fucking needs any of this. Like it seems like they got rid of a lot of things and they made it really like it's like a word that used to be like really like a 4-letter bad word in PC gaming was streamlined. Right? Like that was a word that came up a lot when like console gaming got big and then PC they made it streamlined and then like that was a bad thing.
Right.
But I think now we've hit a point where streamlined actually means good shit, and I think Vainglory is like really streamlined.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, like they really figured out how to like, okay, this is the thing that you care about. Here's the shit you need. Here's the shit you want. Just get this, do this. Like they get, and so now the game's about playing the game and not about,
worrying about extraneous bullshit.
Yeah, like digging through like a file cabinet looking for like the one thing you need. Now it's just like, here's the thing you need. And you're like, oh, thanks. And now I can go play the game and do the part I care about.
Yeah, and that's really what this is. Like, so this is like I want to call it like an item-centric like design almost.
Well, yeah, so this is,
go on.
Well, so like I listen to like a handful of podcasts, and one of them is a game design podcast, and they brought up
you can shout them out if you want.
It's called Serlin on Games. It's done by what's his first name? I think it's David Serlin.
Okay,
I can't remember, but he worked. He did like he's a really big fighting game guy, so a lot of the stuff on the podcast is about fighting games. But it's if you're interested in game design, they talk about it in ways that people that don't give a shit about fighting games can listen. Right. And they brought up, they talked about MOBAs, and they really fucking hated MOBAs until Heroes of the Storm, but I won't get into that.
Heroes of the Storm is Blizzard's
It's MOBA. Blizzard's MOBA, which I think is fantastic, even before...
I've barely seen gameplay.
And it's, if you get a chance, I'd recommend that. It's my version of you getting into Vainglory was Heroes of the Storm. I was just like, oh, they got rid of all the a ton of the bullshit no one cared about, and made this really great MOBA.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, like, so in traditional MOBAs, certainly League of Legends, Dota, and then now like Vainglory, you buy items, you buy shit to make, and you buy items for your character, and the items give your character more abilities, or they make whatever they do better, right?
Certain ability. So this is the cool part about MOBAs in general, is that the way you build your character with these items, and I use build with air quotes, of course, so you can build it to be either more defensive, more offensive. There's plenty of ways to really develop your character, and there's ways that you can build it and just ruin your character. Like, you can be completely useless with you have all these tools, but they don't work together, so you become this useless character. Your team hates you. They ask you to surrender. Like, they want you out of the game. Like, it's just one of those things. So, every other MOBA that I played didn't, like, hold my hand in the item field.
Well, not even like hold your hand, but just they didn't give you any fucking guidance.
No, they were just like, you need to use these items, but we're not going to tell you how at all.
Yeah, they just dropped like a big ass pile of shit down in your front yard, and they were like, "Go nuts!" And you were like, "What the fuck do I do with this?"
Where Vainglory kind of gives you this thing where it gives you 3 different like ways to play, and the ways they are is there's one, it's called Weapon, and then there's Crystal, which is like kind of like your mage powers and stuff.
Okay.
And then Utility. And that's just, I don't even know how to explain that.
It's like support.
Yeah, it's like, very heavily support type stuff.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's like I said, so this is like a total streamlining thing, because like in other
they
games,
really, so if I was to phrase it like that, they really streamlined the MOBA.
In a great way.
In a really great way that works really well. The characters are super well balanced. I know this is a problem that pretty much every MOBA has run into, is balancing issues. And it's the same thing with fighting games. And I think that's probably why he talked about that on the podcast. There's constant balancing issues.
Yeah, but in fighting games, it's not nearly as bad as it is in MOBAs.
No, because MOBAs, like, if you have a character that's OP or overpowered, you're just going to destroy. You're going to destroy everything. People are going to be pissed. It's not going to make sense.
Oh, it's a problem. It breaks the whole fucking game.
It breaks the game, yeah. To where fighting games, you can be good enough to take on an overpowered character.
Like, it's much easier to point out. Well, it's also, like, in fighting games, it's like 1v1.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to, not easy, I won't say easier, I don't want to, like, lowball, or, what the fuck is the word? I can't remember, but I don't want to downplay
I know what you're saying, yeah.
how difficult balancing shit is, because it really is difficult in everything.
Yeah.
But it's like, when you have that 1v1 arena, it makes it a lot easier to, like, it makes it a lot clearer to be like, oh, there's a problem here, there's a problem here. You can get to that a little bit faster than, like, a lot of, like, League of Legends and Dota both have over 100 characters, and you play on a 5v5 team.
Do they really? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, League's at, like, 120-something almost.
Whew.
Oh, it's fucking insane.
So Vainglory, in comparison, is at, like, 25.
Yeah, and so...
And it's much easier to kind of pick and choose who you really like. You come to that conclusion faster, and the kind of the character type that you like to play. So I like to play as, like, a sniper, is what it's called.
It's what it's called, but you play a weird one.
I do. Go ahead and
go ahead
and explain.
Well, no, so it's like, so the traditional roles in, like, League and Dota are, I'm just gonna say, instead of saying League and Dota for now, I'm just gonna say traditional, because that's those games are the traditional. So the traditional roles are like a carry, which is usually a ranged character that does a shitload of damage but can't take very much damage.
Right.
They're like, not glass cannon, but glass cannon would be, for most people, for people that don't know about this, glass cannon would be the best analogy.
Yeah.
And then you also have, like, tanks, which are characters that just take a shitload of damage, but they don't really do damage, but they, like, get in the way and they cause problems for the other team. Then you have tanky DPS, which is a character that can take some damage and give some damage, but isn't in either direction on the damage.
Right.
Isn't an extreme.
Yeah, there's no extreme.
And then you have support characters, which they do healing, or they have really good crowd control, which means they can, like, stun or slow other, like, enemies. They do things that hurt the enemy without actually doing physical damage.
Without doing a lot of damage at all.
Yeah. And they can, like, heal your team or give shields or whatever.
Yep. So
there's a handful of characters in those games, and then the character you like playing in Vainglory, which kind of, like, they're still in certain molds, but they kind of break them a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
And usually your like high damage characters with low survivability are like that's what it is. The trade-off is high damage, low survivability, or maybe they're melee range. They have, like, a really short range or something, so that if they have a little bit more survivability, they have to be right up people's asses.
Yep.
But you play a character that has range and survivability.
Yeah.
But isn't, like, in the tanky DPS category. It's much closer to a damage, like a carry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
for sure. The way you're phrasing it sounds almost like I'm playing, like, an overpowered character. But he's not. The downside of playing this character, and his name is Saw, if you look into the game at all, S-A-W, he is more, like, he slows down when he starts doing very crazy things. So when he starts really dishing out damage, he slows down immensely. And he's already a slow character to begin with, so I think that's really what they went with that character, was he's going to be able to survive a lot, but if you have to run away in a situation, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. You need
a teammate, or you need, like, you're just, so he's balanced. So it is.
So if you put yourself in an unfortunate situation where you're way too close to someone, or they're hiding in, I don't remember what it's called, where you can hide and not be visible.
Bushes, grass.
Well, yeah, but there's a phrase, I thought, for, like, it's called ganking, like when they come out of this little hidden area.
They're in brush, they're in grass.
Like, sure, they're in a hidden area that is brush or grass or trees or whatever. And whatever they want, whatever the art designer wants to put in the fucking game. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. I really don't know a lot about this game type. I'm learning it as I go. I feel like I'm getting pretty good, but then, like, I'll play, like,
you always feel like you're getting good, and then...
Yeah, it's one of those things, you're always like, I'm really on the up and up with this game, and then you play another round, and you're like, fuck this, like, I'm awful, why do I play this, like, and then you play it again, and you destroy, and you're like, what's happening? And it's all based on who you're playing against.
Well, yeah,
it's random. Go on.
It's not random. So they actually do matchmaking.
Right.
So even if you're playing in a non-competitive version of the, like, if you're just on the fuck around casual or normal or whatever it's called in your MOBA of choice, okay. Yeah, and whatever you're playing, they still do matchmaking. They just make it invisible on, like, the casual ones.
Okay.
So that way, on average, you don't end up playing, like, you're not, like, a pro's not going to come into your game. You're just like, well, just throw my tablet out there.
Yeah, no, I've never had that. I've just had people that are better
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, so what it is, so the matchmaking, every now and then you'll kind of get bumped up.
Yeah.
And then if you get crushed, it'll bump you back down a little bit. And then if you do decently, it'll bump you up. So it's like, it's constantly trying to figure out where people are. And matchmaking is actually a huge problem right now. Or, like, not a huge problem, but it's a really big topic that people like to fight about.
It's an issue in a lot of games.
Yeah.
Matchmaking really started with, like the Call of Duty series, kind of?
No, because those are just random.
No, that's matchmaking.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I played a lot of Call of Duty.
Sorry, I don't know dick about COD.
It's random, like, on the casual level, but when you're in the hardcore level, like, it's not random.
They had a matchmaking system? I thought it was just...
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know anything about
it. It was literally called... You had to click on matchmaking. Like, that's what it was.
So when... Was that COD 4? Did it have that?
Yeah, that's when...
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so that was...
And I want to say that's kind of when everything started with matchmaking. Or no, there was Halo 2, and Halo 1.
Those did have some kind of matchmaking.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, honestly, League of Legends.
Really? 2009?
Yeah, but that's when... Because think about... Fuck, what else came out in... Like, I'm trying to think... But because that's when, like, competition still wasn't a thing. Right? Like, in gaming, like, it really, like, people... Definitely there were people that took COD seriously.
I took it seriously.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, esports as a thing just wasn't a thing yet.
No, I mean, it was a thing, but it was something that the general gaming
It was still super ass niche.
Yeah, it was super niche. No one played it.
Yeah, and then League of Legends, when that exploded, like, by 2011, esports was a thing.
Yeah, League of Legends really did help us reel in, like, here, yeah, these are...
Hey, this is an actual thing now, come play.
Yeah, like, it's a sport. Like, it really is...
Absolutely.
I mean, if you go by the definition of sport, it's a sport. You know, people are always like, well, no, sports are physical. It can't be gaming. No,
it's just
like,
a different type of sport, you jerks.
If you watch these people play these games, like, you can really see something that's on another level.
Yeah.
So the people that are professional gamers.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's like, you know it. Like, you give up the whole idea of yourself being good, and you're just like, these guys destroy. Like, especially when you see, like, Counter-Strike and stuff, like, when you saw, like, the really top teams playing against each other, or even back when we played the original Half-Life, and we saw the best players that there were playing that game, Executor X, and,
What, Term? Term's the one I was playing.
Term, and who was the big badass?
Oh, Garpy.
Garpy. So he went on to, like, Quake 3 and stuff like that.
Like, yeah, like, so when I played Source, I got to a point playing Source competitively.
Counter-Strike.
Counter-Strike Source competitively where, like, I was nobody. Please don't, like, I'm not trying to sit here and be like, I was fucking amazing. Like, yeah, I was above the general populace.
Yeah, you were.
I ran into, like, every now and then I got to run into, like, at that time, like, elite level players. Like, like, Cal-I players every now and then.
Okay.
Like, they would, like, pug with teams, and, like,
yeah,
I'd run into, like, main level teams, and, like the absolute upper echelons of Counter-Strike. I would run into them every now and then.
How'd that feel?
Oh my god, it was the most aggravating shit, because you'd be sitting there going along, and I'd have like 2 months where I'm like, I'm fucking amazing, we're the best team in the world, I'm going pro, and then this person would come in and they would just like run at you backwards with a Glock out, and you're just like, my whole team's dead, and I'm like, what the fuck's happening?
Yeah,
like, they're playing Counter-Strike, I'm bass fishing, like, it's not even close.
That's a great way to put it. That really is a great way to frame it. Like, I'm doing something completely different. Like, I'm eating dinner watching my screen, and I'm just dying. Like, I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah,
like,
it's a completely different game that the people at the top are playing.
Exactly. So, I don't really want to get into MOBAs too much more. It's really a convoluted subject.
There's so much
about that.
We probably should have picked one thing to focus on.
Yeah, but it's a great mobile game. I mean, if you have a tablet of any sort, you can. It's on all of them besides Windows. So it's on Amazon.
Don't worry, you don't have a Windows phone, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I did like up to like a month ago.
Yeah, and now you have something that actually plays games.
Yeah, but I don't play games on it, which is hilarious. If you have a tablet, it's on Amazon. It's on Google
iOS,
Play Store and
Android,
iOS.
Yeah, so it's everywhere.
It's on everything. Try it. Just try it out.
Yeah, at least try it. Like, I don't have the thing for
the tutorials are great. They really help you along, so you're not going to be like super lost at all.
I'll give it, like, so I did have, like, I have MOBA experience.
Right.
As I'm self-proclaimed MOBA Jesus over here, but but no, like, playing Vainglory, it absolutely, like, it really was, because I haven't touched a MOBA in kind of, like, months and months now. I kind of just stopped playing them, and like, I played bingo, and I was just like, oh, well, that's what I need, and I was just buying shit, and I ran through the tour. I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, great, this is easy. Like, it just told me, like, here, this is what you need to get to start playing the game and just get going.
Very intuitive.
Yeah, it was really quick. They did a great job with that.
Yeah. So moving along from there, let's hop into music for just like a minute or two.
Do we even want to try?
Yeah, this is so ridiculous that I want to talk about it, and I wanted, when I first heard this announced, I wanted so much for it to be great. I really did, and I
didn't know anything about it at all. So
I brought it up to you finally, and you were like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, but
so this is a band that's kind of not really a band, and people are calling it a super band, which I hate. Which all that means, a super group. Which all that means is people from other bands get together and make new music.
Other popular bands get together.
Exactly,
because there's plenty of super groups made out like there's plenty of bands that are formed of other bands that nobody knows about.
A Perfect Circle is a good example of that. They have members of Marilyn Manson and Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
It's everywhere. Anyways, so and this really comes with an idea behind it because of where we are in politics nation right now in America,
and everybody that this band is made of.
Yeah. So this is a band called Prophets of Rage. I liked the title. Like, I do like the name of the band.
It's a cool name, yeah.
Here's the thing. So we had a band called Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, for everybody that's under the age of 20, you don't know who they are. But for all the rest of us,
like, check them out because they're still very, not only relevant, but the music still, it holds up super well.
It works, like...
It
was both like in its time and ahead of its time.
Yep.
Especially like I love Battle of Los Angeles.
Yeah, and most people will disagree with that being one of the better.
Everybody's
albums.
gonna pick an album they fucking love. I love all of them. I really like
will
all
disagree
of
with that. Though.
Really?
Yeah, Battle of Los Angeles is one of the most disliked albums that they ever did. But it came during a time where they were super popular and it was super noticeable.
Okay.
So
it's like for me, like, because I really...
But when you think about it, their first album, Rage Against the Machine's first album, is where all like the big songs that you think of came from. Killing in the Name of.
I don't even know what's on there.
I can't.
I used to know that whole. I used to know all three of those albums.
Was on there.
Yeah, like I used to know
so
all of those albums. Like I knew
what
every
was the song that they did with Maynard from Tool?
Killing. Who's Killing in there? No, Your Enemy.
Know Your Enemy. Those are all on the first album, and
they really are.
It's spectacular. That album doesn't stop. It's continually good throughout.
They all I think they were all continuously good. Like I really.
See, and
I showed up late though.
Stumbled a little bit with Empire, the second album. They stumbled a little bit, but still had really good stuff. And really, the whole point of this band—not the whole point, but one of the big points about Rage Against the Machine was they had something to say.
Yeah, they were incredibly politically charged. They talked about the economics. They talked about like social issues.
So yeah,
socially charged,
very heavily socially charged band, and we loved them. They were great. Zach De La Rocha was the lead, and he had this inflection in his voice that made you like want to get up and want to get angry.
Oh yeah, he had this really infectious, like his energy.
You could feel his energy like just as much
through the album. Like not even like you didn't even have to be at like a show. You could just hear that. You're just like, fuck, this guy is like into this shit. And
yeah, you're really bobbing your head and getting into it.
I don't even know what he's talking about, but he's fucking woo, woo.
Exactly, like he's saying some really ridiculous stuff, and you're just going along with it. Anyways, so Prophets of Rage. So Rage Against the Machine split up like all bands do.
Yeah, they broke up in the early 2000s.
Yeah, sure. Right around there.
Well, it's because I got into them like right before they broke up. They broke up in like 2000.
So early 2000s, yeah.
2003 and like 2005 somewhere. Yep. Because that's when I got it. I showed up late, which is probably why I like their album or all their shit.
They've come back together a couple times. They came back like in one of the last Democratic conventions or Republican conventions. They played in front of it, like to be like this anti-establishment type of band. You know, they were like the punk rockers of like the metal world, or how do you describe Rage?
What, like genre wise?
Yeah,
rap rock.
It's
like the shittiest, but it's the only title that fits. Like I don't know.
It fits very well.
It just like there's so many things that suck from that. Yeah,
like a lot of other bands like that. So we'll call it rap rock. I hate calling it that because Like Korn was called rap
No, there's
rock.
so many. That's
like,
what
this
I'm
is terrible.
Like, I feel bad saying that because there's so many things. Like, you're like Kid Rock is labeled rap rock in his early shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So like, it's such a rough thing to call, but it just is. Like, that's the most accurate description I can give of that music. I don't know what the fuck to call it.
Yep. So anyway,
metal, I guess.
Sure, whatever. I mean, the guitars were really Tom Morello was. I mean, he's a genius at the guitar. He's playing his guitar with a freaking wrench at times, like literally the Tool wrench. Like he's playing, it's ridiculous. Like the creativity that he has, and I have to preface talking about Tom Morello a little bit with the fact that he and Maynard from Tool kind of like they met each other very early on before either band was started.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Yeah,
they knew each other.
Okay,
and so I believe Tom Morello introduced Maynard to like Adam Jones, and that's how Tool was kind of created.
Okay.
So we owe a lot to Tom Morello and his amazing guitar playing. He's really up there. Like, if you were to compare him to other bands currently, like his guitar playing is up there with the bass playing of like Les Claypool from Primus.
Okay.
And Les Claypool is like pretty much the most creative bassist of all time.
I'll take your word on that shit. I don't know anything about it.
You don't listen to Primus?
I don't listen to Primus, and
Fuck.
As I've mentioned otherwise, I don't know dick about bands. I don't know anything about the members in them,
yeah,
except
you really
for like
just listen to stuff.
I know a handful of people, like the handful of bands that I really, really get into. I know like the names of the members most of the time.
What's the lead singer of Thursday's name?
Jeff something? Jeff Wrigley? Wrigley.
Wrigley, you got
Wrigley.
Oh yeah, I was just putting him on the spot for no reason. That's fine.
Well, that's the thing. That's the only name I know because we fucking talked about it on the podcast. If you asked me that 3 weeks ago, I'd have been like, who the fuck? I don't know.
Okay,
Tom? Like, I don't fucking...
Good point. Anyways, so let's talk about Prophets of Rage. So Prophets of Rage have popped up a couple of months ago.
Apparently.
No, that's what happened.
That's from my view. Yeah, I'll take your word.
And they consist of the drummer, bassist, and guitarist of so every part of Rage Against the Machine besides Zach, the vocalist.
Besides the lyrics and vocals,
which is, but next to the lyrics and vocals, you have the guitar, and those were the two main things that work together in that band super well.
Yeah,
and the bass playing is great, but you kind of don't notice it. It's so overshadowed. The drumming is overshadowed.
Well, it's a thing that comes up in software a lot. Is nobody says anything when you do software correctly. Everybody's just like, well, it works great. Like nobody comments. But the second it breaks, like one thing goes wrong, and everybody goes, holy fuck, dude, software shit. So like, Rage is one of those bands where it's like you don't think about the bassist and the drummer. They're just doing their job so well, and they're providing such a perfect basis that you just don't even think about it.
Yeah.
But like they're great. They do a really good job.
Yeah.
You just don't think about it.
Tim and I can't remember the other guy's name right now. I'm failing completely. But anyways, so they decided to go a little different route this time with their reforming of the group. They couldn't get Rage back together. I guess Zach is doing something else and he doesn't care. I have a feeling like deep down like they have issues.
It really seems like what little like I've looked into this and what I remember from like the times they gotten back together, it really seems like Zach and the rest of the band just don't get along
anymore. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So what they did, and this is where it gets out of control and just bad. I'm sorry if you like this band, but this is my feeling on it. I think it's Dan's feeling too. So they got Chuck D from Public Enemy, who's like 90. At this point. I mean, he is at this point. Like, he's this 90-year-old rapper that's out there.
Okay.
And then they got Be Real from Cypress Hill,
okay.
where I never liked Cypress Hill before because I cannot stand this man's voice. And he has this really like...
He's the one with the kind of nasally, whiny voice, right?
It's super nasally, yeah.
So the only thing I ever know from Cypress Hill is Rock Superstar.
Wow, that's bad.
That's
I
bad. Listened to metal in the 90s. Not bad.
I listen to everything. Start listening to everything.
But
be a musical fan.
Now I listen to everything.
Be a fan of music, Dan. Put your shit together.
Look, I'm a fan of the music I like, but...
Anyways, so these guys they're creating new music, and what I don't like is they're playing old Rage songs.
They're doing that.
So the first video I saw was them, and it was I believe it was probably the same exact video that you saw, was them playing Killing in the Name of.
It was.
And Know Your Enemy.
It does.
It was horrendous. Like, so basically, like, and the way you prefaced it last night is perfect. You said that Be Real doesn't know how to be in a band.
Whoa, did I say that?
Yeah, you said he doesn't know how to be like
In
a
a rock
vocalist
band.
in a rock band.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I said. And he knows how to be in a band.
Well, he knows how to be in a group. We have different phrasing.
Okay, yeah, but
phrasing.
But the thing that I said was, like I assume he's Public Enemy, like the other guys from Cypress Hill. Like these
Public
people,
Enemy's old. Their music was great when they made it.
Like these are people that know what they're doing. Like I know that this guy knows what he's doing, but what he was doing on those videos. So you wrote down Prophets of Rage, and I went and I watched these videos. I watched Killing the Name of, and I watched Know Your Enemy. And the whole time, because I didn't look into who the band was,
right?
And I was like, man, this is a really good cover band with a really bad singer. That was literally the thought that I had.
And so that's basically what it is.
And I was like, he's not good in this rock setting. Like, it just doesn't work. Like, he doesn't have the energy that De La Roca had. He doesn't have, like, the tone. He just doesn't, like, the delivery. Like, it's just not there. Like, there's rage is happening in the background, and then this dude is just, like, saying shit. What the fuck?
It doesn't fucking work. And what they're really trying to do is push, like, a political message. They really are this time. More so than Rage ever did.
Even more than Rage? Okay.
Yeah. They really make it a point to say that, like, fucking America's failing, and they're really on the Democratic side, very liberal in how they go about things.
Of course. Dude, Tom's they're into, like, communism and shit, like...
Yeah. It's so...
They're super, air quotes, left-wing, if you give a shit about that.
Exactly. It doesn't work. I don't recommend listening to it. I just don't buy anything from these... Fuck, don't support this band. Like, if I have anything to say about Prophets of Rage is, like, they're playing at Red Rocks soon, and I'm pretty sure it's sold out. Just
of course
because,
it is.
Because Rage is...
Oh, yeah, no, it's almost Rage.
Seeing Tom Morello live is almost worth it, maybe.
Yeah.
But, like, it's so cringeworthy hearing Be Real try and sing.
It's the vocals right now are rough.
It's really rough, and I don't think it's going to get any better, to be honest with you.
Do they have... I mean, we probably should have watched a video of something original that they've done. Did they?
I haven't seen anything original yet.
Well, fuck, then yeah, like...
If they have something out by now, but I just haven't seen it.
It's, I feel like... So I wouldn't say don't, like, listen to or watch this band, but I would say, like, if you're a fan of Rage or Cypress Hill or Public Enemy or whatever... Go watch, like, one video and form your own opinion, because... Yeah, I mean... we both came from Rage. Like, that's a thing, like...
It's inherent in our, like, bloodstream of music.
Yeah, like... Yeah. So we have, like, it's kind of nostalgia, and it's just kind of built into our framework of reality.
It's a
like,
bias,
we're super ass biased, so, like...
So it's kind of like when someone comes in and fucks with something that you love, you tend to hate it.
Unless they do
it very good justice.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel like they're doing it justice.
This doesn't feel like any justice has been served. And that's really a funny, like, phrasing to say we're talking about Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Prophets of Rage. We'll leave it at that.
So should we just leave the episode at that? Should we just end on that?
Yeah, we are running a little long.
No, we're not. No, we are not running long at all.
We're not?
Compared to all the other shit we've done, not even close to running long. But I feel like everything else that we were going to get into would go really fucking long.
Okay, so we'll save that for next time.
So yeah,
one last thing I wanted to add.
Absolutely, yeah.
Relating to music in general. We talked about Maynard from Tool doing an autobiography before.
Yeah, it was.
And my buddy Jason corrected me on it because he listened to the podcast, and he was like, "Remember, I couldn't find the word for how it was being written, and we were like questioning each other, like if it was a biography or an autobiography."
Yeah,
it's an autobiography just with a ghostwriter. And the ghostwriter is just essentially that it's essentially where the person, that it's about is telling them stories and they're forming it into words.
And they're working together to do
it. They work together to create what is the autobiography.
Yeah, because I did look it up afterwards. An autobiography means the person that it's about writes it.
Yeah.
But he's
still considered an autobiography.
Because he is involved, like Maynard is involved in it.
Yes.
It's
not some guy.
It's not somebody asking him questions.
Yeah. Exactly. So I wanted to clear that up.
Ooh, gotta get that errata out of the way.
Yeah. The topic that we do want to get into will still be very topical next week, and we'll be back with that.
We'll see.
We'll see. No, it's going to be topical.
Oh, no, it'll still be topical, but it could all just burn down by the time we get there, and everybody else could have talked about it.
Nah, we're good.
Okay.
So we will catch you guys later. You guys have a good one, and this was fun. This was fun, man.
Is that...
I gotta give that to you.
I feel like that first part had like a question mark on it. Like, this was fun, I guess?
No, it was a statement.
That was okay, good. Yeah, period. All right. That was
a good one.
That was I got through that first thing I wasn't too sure about, but I did good with that. I feel like I did good with that. But anyways.
Again, questions, comments, put them in the comments below.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Where can they find you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter at xthodan, which is XTHODAN.
And I am on Twitter at TrackerUndertow. And if you don't know how to spell that, go screw yourself.
You can just go to mine and then find him as a follower. But,
yeah, he pretty much only talks to me on there. It's pretty funny. We just talk back and forth instead of talking in person.
Yeah, and then also YouTube comments, Facebook group. What's the Facebook page group?
Just search. This is how I do Facebook, is you just search for things. So search for Shut Up and Talk to Me podcast, and you'll find us on Facebook. And that's going to be it.
So hopefully we'll see somebody somewhere.
Yeah, you guys have a good one.